Welcome to Asia Forum Series Chapter 6 Indonesia, organized by Asian Literary Society and Journal of Asian Art, Culture and Literature. Dear friends, as you all know, Asian Literary Society is dedicated to promote Asian art, culture and literature, and our current series is a sincere effort in this direction. Dear friends, today we are having eminent guests from Indonesia, and today's session will be moderated by none other than our very own Bishakha Sarma. So I would like to quickly introduce Bishakha Sharma ji without any further delay. Dr. Bishakha Sharma is a linguist who specializes in the documentation of endangered and lesser known languages. She is a passionate writer. Her writings, both in prose and poetry, have been published in journals and anthologies. She is an administrator of Asian Literary Society. She has learned Indian classical music instrumental Mohan Veena from Ravi Shankar Institute of Music and Performing Arts, New Delhi. Now over to Dr. Bishakha Sarma.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome once again to the Asia Forum Indonesia with the eminent writers and poets of Indonesia. Selamat malam para pemirsa. Asian Literary Society, selamat datang di acara Asia Forum Indonesia. Kami akan memandu acara dalam bahasa Inggris. Mari tetap bersama kami. Please be with us. Before we begin a vibrant discussion on the literature of Indonesia, I would introduce you all to the esteemed panelists. Ewith Bahar is a published author, poetess, novelist, translator, and essayist from Indonesia. She has a prominent career of a media broadcaster, hosting several musical and cultural programs for television of Republic of Indonesia and the biggest private TV station in Indonesia, that is Raja Wali Citra Televisi Indonesia. Besides her writing career, she was a teacher at communication institutions, a public speaker for communication matters, creative writing, bibliotherapy, and more importantly, she actively manages the Indonesian book channel. Welcome on the forum, Ewith Bahar. Diadjeng Laraswati Hanindyani from Jakarta, Indonesia is our next panelist. She's a published author of 94 anthology books and 9 solo books, and she's also a published poet. She has wonderful contributions to travel articles, food articles, and more importantly, to children's literature. The most unique piece of work is her compiled book on short stories entitled I and the Universe. Welcome on the forum, author Diadjeng Laraswati. Our next panelist, Genoveva Dian Uning, belongs to Yogyakarta, Indonesia. She loved the world of literature since her childhood, and many of her works are published in anthologies of poems as well as short stories. She has also contributed to a novel entitled Kalyandra, which falls under the genre of soft thriller. Welcome on the forum, author Genoveva Dian. I think she's facing in network issues. Next panelist, poetess Yanita Ismail, is a published bilingual poetess from Bojonegoro city of East Java, Indonesia. Her poems are based on several themes: love, life, sorrow, nature, socio-political life, and horror. Welcome on the forum, Yanita Ismail. Welcome on the forum, Yanita Ismail. I start my discussion with author Ewith Bahar. Madam, let us start a discussion about the evolution of the literature of Indonesia and how it is shaping in the present.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, author Ewith.
Please receive our sincere gratitude for inviting us to be presented here and talk about Indonesian literature. It is very golden opportunity and highly appreciated. Talking about Indonesian literature, actually, it has begun since in the 4th century in Hinduism and Buddhism era. At that time, in Indonesia, we can find so many small kingdoms, so many, Majapahit, Singasari, etc. There are many little kingdoms, and they left us so many legacies in the form of temples and inscriptions. About temples, I have written a book about Borobudur Temple. Borobudur Temple was have been stipulated by UNESCO as World Heritage. But we continue to talk about the evolution from the ancient sites that has been discovered. Then we already know that the ancient people at that time, in the 4th century, they have already had many knowledges, not only limiting to farming, carpentry, or any other traditional knowledges, but also the sophisticated ones like astronomy, volcanology, and architecture. Architecture that I have been shown this, they show the master about Borobudur Temple. We are studying many from them and from their legacies. But we have to admit that gradually it shaped the Indonesian literature. On the other hand, Indonesia, as a matter of fact, had many traditional poems that was not influenced by Hinduism or Buddhism that I have told about. There are ancient poems, traditional, that distributed orally in a society. The oldest one are mantra and pantun. Besides Saloka, Karmina, Talibun, and many others, hundreds of traditional poems that we have. Maybe it is essential for me to inform that Indonesia has many provinces, 34 provinces, and each of them has its own version of pantun and mantra. Pantun and mantra, our treasure in literature. But Indonesian modern poems nowadays been transformed and developed into new styles, into various styles that not only sticking to the rules of pantun. And for nurturing pantun,
বলটা বন্ধ হচ্ছে
nowadays we are still writing pantun. The poets nowadays still writing pantun to nurture it, including me. I'm now preparing a book, the following book that containing approximately 250 pantun added by essays on many aspects, from psychological aspects, sociological aspects about pantun. And very essential too to convey that last year, on December 2020, UNESCO has been stipulating pantun as the representative list of intangible cultural heritage. We are very proud of this, that UNESCO has admitted pantun as a world heritage. And the following phase that we have to talk is about the classical literature that our treasure. There are so many, but to mention a few, this is I write, Gurindam 12, written at 1847 by Raja Ali Haji. And also we have Robohnya Surau Kami. Robohnya Surau Kami in English maybe the decline or the fall of Little Mosque, written by Anafis, published at 1956. Siti Nurbaya by Marah Rusli, published in 1922. Salah Asuhan by Abdul Muiz, published in 1928. But most of all, I want to tell about Lagaligo. This is an epic myth of the Bugis from South Sulawesi. This is a long manuscript. The thickness is 6,000 pages and containing 300,000 lines of text. This is very phenomenal because it took a very long time to finalize into a written form, because initially Lagaliga were distributed orally for 100 years, approximately finalized 200 years from 18th century to 20th century. And Lagaligo now was included in UNESCO's Memory of the World since 2012. It is the second from Indonesia. Previously, we had Negara Kertagama that also was registered as the Memory of the World. It is written by Empu Prapanca on lontar leaves, also thick as well. Lontar is a kind of palm tree, written at 1365, so old, just several from many that we have. I think enough from me about the evolution of literature history and also the classical list that we have.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Ewith. That's a wonderful insight. The entire literature of Indonesia. It's enlightening. Thank you. Well, I was also going through the literature, of Indonesia these days, last few days. I was reading many things like the archipelago, which is now called Indonesia, were visited by the European travelers, scientists, and travel writers. And it is said that the literature about the Indonesian islands became a guidebook to the travelers and writers from second half of the 19th century to early 20th century. Okay, and in the 16th and 17th century, there was a person called Bujanga Manik who traveled on foot from West Java to East Java and wrote about his impressions and objects he saw along the way. Okay. Travel accounts of Indonesia also, travel literature of Indonesia also accounts for the religious pilgrimages. And therefore, I would ask author Diadjeng, author Diadjeng, ma'am, your travel articles were chosen as the best 100 travel articles organized by Adira. That's article Perjalanan Versi Adira. Yeah. You have several published articles on travel. So would you tell us about the travel literature of Indonesia of the present times? And what do you choose to write on your travel tips?
Okay, thank you, Bishakha. Let me tell you about travel literature in Indonesia. In simple terms, the term travel literature can be interpreted as travel stories told by individuals or groups when they encounter a new place. Travelogue works usually contain a fairly detailed description of the author's experience and perception of a place. This kind of literature is not intended to provide pragmatic information about a place visited, but rather to provide a description of culture and society through the observation and perception of the author. Travel literature is part of the new literature in Indonesia. Uh, as you know, there is a classical literature and new literature. Nah, travel literature is part of the new. It is included in the contemporary genre of contemporary literature. Many Indonesian new writers depart from travel literature. In fact, if a travel story is to be adapted as a travel literature, the writer must be able to use his or her perceptions. Travel literature does not only offer travel conveniences, the best routes, ticket prices, hotels, and so on. It will just be a promotion of a travel agency, I think. The author should choose to interview a local residents, stay at home, or stay for days at a place if necessary. The author must be able to adapt to the culture, customs, habits, and daily life of the people in the place he or she is going. Therefore, travel literature writing should be richer in narrative than elaboration. The next question.
As what do you choose to write on your travel tips?
I like to write fictional travel stories, but based on facts. I have
Okay.
written some articles and books about travel stories. Uh, travel, uh, in my opinion, travel literature is not the same as travel stories. There are
Ah,
values contained in a literary story. Travel is not
okay.
only about going to a place, but also tell about that place and the value of life gained there. Travel
Ah,
stories will become a travel literature if they're able to capture the value, such as the
yes.
value of caring for the environment, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe it's different from uh, one person to another, the value obtained, but it will be travel literature if his or she could find it. Okay.
Okay. Wonderful. Actually, it's so interesting to know, Diadjeng, what actually is travel literature. The inherent values which we actually gain from the place.
Yeah.
That is all about it. I mean, it's so important for us to know. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. I come to poetess
Okay.
Yanita. Uh, Ma'am, could you tell us about the evolution of Indonesian poetry and how it is shaping in the modern times?
Okay. I will answer your questions, ma'am. The evolution of Indonesian poetry is the evolution of old poetry to modern poetry due to the influence of language development, and old poetry must be bound by rules. One stanza must be uh, 4 lines before, and then which must be the rhymes which must be AB AB. It is
Okay,
for the old poetry. And then
okay,
because literature is dynamic in nature following the times, so the rules are no longer standard. For example, we have Khairil Anwar poems.
okay,
Uh, he used to have a political term. Now there is a liberation from it all. Finally, modern poetry writing is no longer rigid, and the writing is up to the writer. New poetry is a type of poetry that is not too tight to the uh, provisions of the number of lines, syllables, and rhymes. The new form of poetry is fair when compared to the old poetry. New poetry is formed in a new society that has undergone cultural acculturation. That's all from me.
Okay, very nice, wonderful. Okay, we'll soon hear from you many poems, Yanita. Uh,
Mhm.
I go to author Ewith. Uh, Ma'am, what themes you have dealt with in your essays, in your latest essay book?
Yes. The terms?
What
Ah,
what themes you dealt with in your essays? Would you like to tell us something from your latest essay book?
Okay, me?
Yeah.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I wrote many essays on various topics such as culture, communication, like public speaking, psychological essay, and literature, but mostly literature. Um, those are written for seminars and sometimes for preface my colleague writer's book. Uh, Last year, I published a new book, this one. Um, Hairil Anwar, Hidup Seribu Tahun Lagi. Hidup Seribu Tahun Lagi in English, live for another 1,000 years. It is about hope. It's very, very, very controversial figure. And this book is not a biography, but this is an essay, but with I rarely mention about the whole life, from personal life and also his struggle in the colonial era, how in a depressed situation like that under Japan's colonization, he managed himself um, in a full dedication to be a poet. So many stressful situations that he experienced at that time. But one important thing about this figure is his effort to study in a limited and poor condition. Indonesia is very, very uh, in a stressful condition like that. But he can manage himself to study and studying autodidactly about so many knowledge like politics, economics, culture, and literature. And from the autodidactly studying, he can speak in 5 foreign languages: English, French, Spanish, Dutch, and German. Khairil Anwar was enriching Indonesian literature by his translation of world famous writers like Steinbeck, Federico Garcia Lorca, Maria Rilke, and also Marsman, and many more. But unfortunately, he died young at 26, like John Keats, also in 26 died. Um, Later in the future, together with Shakespeare and John Keats, Hairil Anwar and his famous poem Aku, or Me in English, was exhibited in the Moorgedichten, or Wall of Poem that I stated here, located in Leiden, Holland. It is very amazing. Only the most famous poets were presented there. Approximately 100 or so, 113, including Maria Rilke, Shakespeare, Neruda, Baudelaire, and etc. So many names, but limited. Hairil Anwar is the only one from the Southeast Asia, but from other countries in Asian territories also included there, like India and also Japan. India is always top rank in culture and literature from ancient times to now. Okay, Dr. Bishakha.
Oh, wonderful, Ewith. It's a detailed discussion. Thank you so much. Uh, I come to Diadjeng.
Okay.
Uh, Diadjeng, Indonesia is rich in natural and cultural wealth, and hence it is called the Emerald of Equator. Uh, your book entitled I and the Universe is composed of stories about Indonesian children, the universe, and the environment which they have to nurture and understand. So, would you like to share with us about the book? And more importantly, tell us how did you feature in your stories Mira, young weaver from Samba and Otononi, these stories, where you have shown that the manifestations of humanity in managing nature for the sake of continuity of life. So please
Okay.
tell us about your book, I and the Universe.
Okay. Thank you, Bishakha. Let me show the book. Can you see? This is in
Yeah,
bahasa. Still in bahasa.
okay.
Aku dan alam semesta. In English, this is I and the universe. It's actually a portrayal of my life since childhood for how the sun sets every day, changes
Ah,
color in an instant, then become the twinkling stars at the night sky. The phenomenon that I have always observed right before falling asleep on the park bench are written into meaningful series of words in this book. This
yeah.
book, entitled I and the Universe, is composed of 10 stories and 48 illustrations about Indonesian children, the universe, and the environment which they have to nurture and understand. Every story has a moral message, such as how to save an environment, how to be a tough boy, and an honest person, etc.
Okay.
This book also tells stories of the universe's beauty, though it has not quite depicted the beauty of the whole Indonesia, and in line with what science has discovered. This story based on several cities in Indonesia, like North Sumatra, Jakarta, Java, and West Java. Professor Dr. Bambang Hidayat is my coach and counselor in making the book. He was a full professor in the field of astronomy and
Ah,
also a director of Bosca Observatory in Lembang, Indonesia, until 1999. The book is interesting because of my illustrator. Her name is Tanti Amelia. She
wonderful.
made she made uh, she made 48 illustration by not digital, by hand,
Oh,
uh, watercolor and crayon, etc.
I,
Now about the story, two story here. Mira yang weaver from Sumba. Uh, Let me show you.
ah,
Can
it's
you
beautiful.
see?
Up,
Yeah,
more.
up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, yes, yes. We
yeah,
can see.
very colorful. The book is very
Yeah.
colorful. Okay.
That's nice.
Mira and her mother making a weave. Okay, let me say. Mira, a young weaver, she learned to weave from her family for generation. The yarn used for weaving uses dye from the root of the noni fruit. The root of the noni fruit produces a natural red color. Meanwhile, nowadays, many art workers use chemical dyes, which produce brighter colors. Natural dye is safe for the environment and for art workers. No chemical uh, will ruin their hands. Otto is Mira brother. Otto is Mira brother. He helped their father looking for the roots of the noni fruit since it was far away. He thought
Ah,
about how to plant them in their large yard. In this book, we tell about how to grow and the benefits of noni fruit are told. Okay, let me show the picture. Otto, Otto noni. In bahasa it's mengkudu. Mengkudu is noni fruit. Sorry,
okay. Yeah, it's beautiful.
that's about part this book.
Okay, it's very nice. That's a wonderful book, huh,
Thank you.
Diadjeng?
Thank you.
uh,
Thank you.
I go to poetess Yanita Ismail. Uh, Ma'am, what themes you dealt with in your poems? We would like to. Would you like to recite your self-composed poems? One haiku and one of your modern poems. And unmute yourself, Yanita. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, you are audible. You are audible, Yanita. You speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay. Um, Actually, I write many poems. What I love the most to write is about horror poems. And now I learn how to write haiku in Bahasa, my language. Yes,
Okay. Okay.
I learned from all the writers from Indonesia, and I joined the group. So that's why I can learn more about haiku. Okay,
Okay.
now I would like to recite my poem haiku in Bahasa. Langit menghitam, asap panas mengepul, hutan terbakar. It means that I describe about the forest fires in the dry season, because now we are in the dry season. That's why I want to uh, what is that, to describe in my haiku. You know, how to say in haiku, we have to describe the season, and in this haiku I describe in hutan terbakar fires. It describes the season, and then I have motivation poem from me to all the readers. I write in modern poem without rhymes, without rules. Be the sun. The title is Be the Sun. Time never waits you. It is going on. So rise your step to touch the sky. Be the sun. Of the light, leave your fear to fall. No matter what happens, just be the sun, which will never go down. It means you have to uh, go on your step, not to be afraid of many challenges you face on, and you have to leave the fear in your soul, in your mind. That's the meaning.
Oh, beautiful. Recite one more poem in English.
One more point.
Yeah,
PowerPoint.
in English. Yeah, okay.
Okay. It was. I wrote this poem in 2000 20,
Okay.
Ing lyric, because I like songs, so I inspired by the song. Ing lyric. She wrote Ing lyric for herself. Abandoned hole tripped her in the darkness. Lived in fear and outrage. Faint sounds haunted in pseudo shadows. She wrote a string of words in the verse, with drops of blood from her fingers. The piano she played with creepy melody. Sorry, tones of silence humming at night. She sang in a shrill voice, and all trembled in fear. And I put the photo with the fingers full of blood in this poem.
Thank you. Thank you, Yanita. It's wonderful. You
Thank
write
you
on
so much.
so many themes. Keep writing.
Pardon?
Author Ewith is here.
Pardon
Author
me?
Ewith, can you hear me? Author Ewith.
Oh,
Okay.
seems.
Uh, Author Ewith, I would like to know if you do an Indonesian book channel. How do you manage an Indonesian book channel? Would you like to tell us something about it?
Within 2 years back, I recently joined Indonesian Book Channel. It is one institution was designed to be a part of Indonesia's efforts to make Indonesian people smarter and well informed. There are so many programs that we planned and prepare for fulfilling that intention. Some that we can say here, like enhancing book publications, and only also writing courses for various segmentations for children, for teachers, for librarians, and we also campaigning how beneficial the books are. So many for all ages. For all ages, one of that is bibliotherapy. It is a kind of therapy through reading and writing. We campaign through so many training, online and offline. I think that's all that I can say about my involvement now in KABI. Indonesian Book Channel in Indonesian is called KABI, or Kanal Buku Indonesia.
Thank you so much, Author Ewith. I go to Author Diadjeng. Ma'am, you were a winner of Food Lovers Blog competition in 2013, held by Femina magazine, entitled Street Food Indonesia. Do you write about the recipes of Indonesian food?
No. Food Lovers Blog Competition 2030 is held by Femina Woman Magazine.
Yeah.
Maybe Bu Ewith dan Mbak Yanita tahu majalah Femina, but it's too long,
Okay.
long years ago. I wrote
Okay.
Street Food Indonesia, Surga Jelajah Kuliner Nusantara. In
Okay.
English, Street Food Indonesia, Paradise of Indonesian Culinary. I wrote about some street food in Makassar, North Sumatra, especially Brastagi and Medan and Jakarta.
Okay.
I didn't write recipe. In this article, I wrote about the street food, and I also wrote about my hope that there will be a better and healthier street food management, especially in terms of hygiene, cleanliness,
Okay. Okay.
something like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
I hope
wonderful.
I hope
Yeah.
someday I have the chance to write about India culinary in
Sure.
in Mumbai. In Mumbai.
Sure. You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Because Genoveva, author Genoveva, could not appear due to internet issues. Uh, I would like to say something from her novel, Kalyandra, okay, which is a soft thriller. It's a wonderful novel. So, Kalyandra, a beautiful, intelligent, and slightly introverted girl who graduated from college in Australia, returned to Indonesia for his affection for his sick mother. Losing his father in time then made her worry that he could not be able to enjoy his mother's company any longer. Okay, the thing that made her mother even more proud was when Kalyandra returned home with the title of a master's degree, a qualified career experience, and also a potential husband who is a native person from Australia. Okay. Now the intrigue begins. Envy and jealousy colored Kalyandra's meeting with his friends. Friends who were previously considered to be very supportive and loving turned out to have specific purpose, like love and treasure colored the veil feud between them. This is all about the story, which completed with the cunningness of Kalyandra's uncle and aunt. Okay, and then Kalyandra's death in his father's villa after the celebration party for his mother's recovery left a mark of big question. Who is the Kalyandra's killer? There is no way the cheerful girl was killed. Was killed. Now there was no reason for Kalyandra to act stupid like that. How it was clear when the forensic agency found poison in Kailandra's stomach. So is it shed light on Kalyandra's death? Will the police and team be able to find out who the person is behind Kalyandra's death? So this is a soft thriller. Someday we should, read this novel if published in English. Thank you so much, writers and poets of Indonesia. Cinta Indonesia, love you Indonesia. Over to founder Mr. Manoj Krishnan.
Thank you so much, Bishakha. So, first of all, I would extend deepfelt gratitude to our esteemed guests from Indonesia, Diadjeng, Yanita, Ewith, and Jiva. Thank you for giving such an insightful information about the Indonesian literature and a little about the art and culture too. I also extend heartfelt thanks to Bishakha for moderating today's session so well. So the recording of this session will be coming on our YouTube channel very soon. And not to forget, I would like to especially thank all the audience who patiently listened this conversation, this interest in the interaction. And here I see a lot of comments have been written by them. So thank you so much to all of you for your time and participation. So we'll meet again in another chapter of Asia Forum with new country. Till then, goodbye to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.